This is KTSS Channel 9 News, the local news station.
So I live in Washington State, as you know, and on the Kitsap Peninsula. So if you're not familiar with Washington State geography, Seattle is on a little isthmus between Lake Washington and the Puget Sound. On the opposite, or in Puget Sound, there's some islands. If you go beyond the islands, there's the Kitsap Peninsula. And you kind of have to zoom in to see it on a map because you might see what is like the Olympic Peninsula. That's not what I'm talking about. The Kitsap Peninsula is small with a lot of smaller peninsulas growing off of it, basically. Towards the tip of the Kitsap Peninsula is a place called Bangor, like Maine, Bangor Trident Base. And the reason I'm bringing this up is the Bangor Trident Base has so many nuclear weapons.
How many nuclear weapons is it?
Well, let me tell you. Let's say you took all the nuclear weapons in the world, and then you divided them by country. So who would have the most nuclear weapons? The U.S.? Yes, the U.S. has by far the most nuclear weapons. Then Russia. Well, let's say you split off the Kitsap Peninsula from the rest of the U.S. Where would Kitsap Peninsula place? It would be number 1, U.S., number 2, Russia, number 3, the Kitsap Peninsula. There are more nuclear weapons on the Kitsap Peninsula than any other country in total except for the US and Russia. That is how many freaking nuclear weapons are here. I do not feel like it's just such a sad thing to think about. Like, not only did we as in like white settlers to the Pacific Northwest, I guess. I mean, I can lump myself in there, I suppose. We developed this land. We completely changed it from the way like indigenous people had it. It's like a different society now. We've paved over a lot of the beauty and all that. And then not only that, but we have to park a bunch of nuclear submarines not that far away. And I mean, this place is just, I mean, if a nuclear war breaks out, I'm not going to live to know it because the Kitsap Peninsula will be one of the first targets of a nuclear blast. And like, it's really such an immense tragedy that is the case. And that made me think, like, no more weapons in Washington State. We do not want them there. And I'm still like, I would fight for that cause. No more weapons, no more nuclear weapons in Washington State. Please just move them somewhere else. But then I was like, why just Washington though? Like, if I feel this squeamish, terrible feeling about it, because it's 100 miles or so, probably less. I don't even know. As the bird flies, it's probably 100 miles. Let's see how long it would take to drive to the Bangor military base. If I took the ferry, it would be like less than 2 hours. It's 43 miles away, and that's like driving. That's not like the straight line. It's within like 20 miles of me, maybe. Because you kind of have to drive a long, weird way. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, like, if I'm not okay with nuclear weapons being within 35 miles of me, why would I be okay with them being anywhere else? And I'm generally, like, I'm not that critical of nuclear energy to be honest, but if we'd have to sacrifice nuclear energy to get rid of nuclear weapons, I would be completely in favor for it. It also, I had a little flashback to when I went to Vancouver, BC as a kid. I remember there being signs that say, "Welcome to Vancouver, a nuclear weapon-free city." And I was like, haha, that's so funny. Why would it say that? Like, it doesn't need to say that. I was already assuming that there's no nuclear weapons. But that is something they feel they have to say because they're really not that far from a giant nuclear arsenal. It's an immense tragedy, honestly. It's upsetting to me that there are so many nuclear weapons in the world. And I guess I know I sound naive, like we all know this about nuclear weapons. We all wish they weren't there, but like really, it just sucks.
We